we are seeing this very often, and I think we have presented one similar patient to you in the past. I think Ashita has presented similar patient, and it has become a very important part of Dr. Vamshi's thesis that we are seeing a lot of such patients who are coming to us after alcohol intake, developing. Okay, let's see. Show us some of the spotters. Yeah, what is that? Yeah, show us the clubbing. The clubbing is not very prominent, maybe. Yeah, maybe if we look at it closely, it might be.
On the side view, it is prominent.
Yeah, on the side view, it becomes prominent. So the view is not. Yeah, what is there? The pallor there. Yeah, no pallor.
Actually, mild icterus.
Mild icterus is visible. Although the upper bulbar would have been better. And what is this? Middle edema. Yeah, so he's got a pitting type of middle edema also. Why are these photos coming small? Anyway, what about? No, that's okay. Yeah, because the entire box is small. Oh, acha, this man. Oh, this is really nice. Yeah, look at his abdomen. Tell us something about his abdomen. Can you tell us the findings in his abdomen? Acha, we have to make it bigger. We'll make it bigger. Yeah. Oh yes, very good. Now tell us what you see there. So you will be as a spotter given a patient like this. Like your previous batch, all the spotters were taken like this only because all the patient used to be lying there. We did not form any such multimedia for them. We just took them around the patient and we said, identify this, tell me that. So what do you see here on inspection? Just inspection findings you tell us. Very simple. Actually, it's a surgical thing. The surgery exam may be given. So, but for us, you just tell us the inspectory findings. Yes, can somebody tell us? You tell. No, you start with that, then you go to the exam.
Basically, this patient had a surgery 6 years back regarding hollow viscous perforation. The scar visible is a hypertrophic scar, which is actually not healed one. So the difference between hypertrophic scar and keloid may be that hypertrophic scar usually it's around the wound only. The keloid extends beyond the wound, surgical site wound. And the visible mass present on the lateral side of the left side. So basically, he has come with a swelling since 1 month. And that swelling is usually it might be a incisional hernia recurring back.
So hypertrophic scar keloid with incisional hernia. That's it. And yes, okay. So very nice view of the chest here. So essentially inspection, palpation. Then in palpation, how will you palpate his cardiovascular system? Can you tell us? And can you tell us some of the findings of the cardiovascular system which you found when he came? And what was the symptom when he came? Shortness of breath.
Yes, sir.
And pedal edema.
Yes.
Since how long?
Shortness of breath present since 1 year, sir.
1 year.
Aggravated since 10 days.
10 days it aggravated. And pedal edema?
Since 2 months.
2 months. Okay. So that's a very
With
slow progression.
With facial puffiness.
Facial puffiness. How long? 2 months.
Yes, 1 month.
1 month. Yeah. So these were quite slow and this was there. And was he binging on his alcohol all the while? He continued to binge on his alcohol, not eating properly.
He skipped
So
meals between.
yeah, so a person who is not eating properly, continuing to take alcohol, and something develops to his heart. He develops heart failure. So what could be the reason? See, not eating properly, continuing to drink alcohol, developing heart failure. Now, before that, Dr. Rabin will tell us the findings of which he found in this patient. So what were the findings which could explain his shortness of breath and pedal edema? Yeah, no, you keep that. We wanted you to show them that so that they could appreciate how you are,
It's a video of JVP, sir.
Achha, you want so he is going to show you a video of JVP first. He starts with the general examination, then goes to the cardiovascular. Oh, show that abdomen. So this is the lateral view of the abdomen. You can see a further bulge, which could be the hernia, it could be something else also. Yeah. Okay, go to the JV then. Yes. There you go. A nice shadow technique. Oh my god. Look at the JVP. It is so much raised. Fantastic. Yeah. So very much raised JVP with pulsations which are more likely to be a VY collapse, indicative of severe pulmonary arterial hypertension. And VY collapse generally because of pulmonary arterial hypertension.
Dr. Ravin, go ahead with the findings of palpation. Yes, you put your hand on the apex, and then where do you put your hand next? So it should become like, reflex. You put your hand on the apex, then automatically your hand goes, without your knowing, to the left parasternal border. So when you put your hand on the parasternal border, what did you feel? And what did you see? And automatically you have to put your eyes down to the level of the hand to see the hand, whether it is going up and down or not, whether there is a parasternal heave. So, and if there is a parasternal heave, what grade of parasternal heave is it? Is it, squashable, or is it just a pulsation, or is it squashable but it lifts up your hand, but you can squash it, or even if you squash it, it keeps on lifting up your hand. So the last one would be grade 3, and severe pulmonary parasternal heave. So Dr. Ravin doesn't remember whether he had a other. So Dr. Naveen says that he didn't have a parasternal heave. Okay, what about the pulmonary region? Could you feel a P2? Because you see, yes. So could you feel? Yeah. On palpation, could you feel the P2?
Yes.
So you could feel somebody knocking at your palm. When you put your hand on the second intercostal space, you can feel somebody knocking there. Because looking at the JVP, we would expect you to have all that. And we would also expect you to have a parasternal heave, especially because he's a young man. So his chest wall would be still flexible enough. So I'm surprised you didn't find that. But it's okay. So what would be the findings here? So findings of severe pulmonary arterial hypertension, but probably due to acute left ventricular failure, because the left ventricle is not palpable. So let's go to the X-ray and see whether it supports our findings. X-ray and ECG. Yes, good. So let's see the ECG. X-ray. How to see it properly? No, you cross that out. Cross. No. Click on the cross. Now you see the X-ray. That is better. Go down. See? Beautiful X-ray. Now look at that. What do you think? Yeah, so you see, what should a normal heart X-ray look like? So normally the right quarter of the heart is found by the right superior vena cava, there is only one superior vena cava, and the right atrium. And there is a right inferior lobar branch of the pulmonary artery which comes out. Normally it should be of diameter less than 1.5 centimeters in millimeter. Here it looks like 2.5. Now what about the left quarter of the heart? There should be the aortic knuckle. You can see the aortic knuckle. Now after the aortic knuckle there should be substantial concavity. But that concavity has been taken up by a bulging arterial shadow, which is the main pulmonary artery. So there is a dilatation of the main pulmonary artery also, which means this pulmonary arterial hypertension has been going on for about some time, 1 month maybe. But maybe it was not good enough to cause the LV dilation. But in this X-ray, what do you think? Is there a cardiomegaly LV dilation? There seems to be a mild cardiomegaly LV dilation. Although the apex is upturned, see, the left ventricle is not touching the diaphragm. The left ventricular apex is not touching the diaphragm. So this is suggestive of a dominant right ventricular hypertrophy. So the left ventricle appears to be actually normal, but there is right ventricular hypertrophy due to severe pulmonary arterial hypertension. Now Dr. Vamshis, this is exactly on this. Unexplained pulmonary arterial hypertension. Why is he having pulmonary arterial hypertension? Now, going by
the previous history, can any of you guess? Alcohol, then no eating properly, binging on alcohol, and developing a heart failure. What disease comes to your mind which you studied in 10 plus 2? Then you studied in first year, second year, biochemistry, probably physiology, like that. So beriberi. So beriberi can come with this kind of pulmonary arterial hypertension. So what is the mechanism? Yes, thiamine deficiency. Good, Srivalli. So thiamine deficiency causing beriberi can present with a heart failure. But what is the mechanism of the pulmonary arterial hypertension? Is it because of left ventricular failure giving rise to increased LVADP, or is it some other direct cause of pulmonary arterial hypertension? Any idea, Aditya? Why do these wet beriberi patients develop pulmonary arterial hypertension? We used to think it's because of some left ventricular problem only. Thiamine drop, LV function is normal, but still the heart is failing. What is it? I mean, in fact, it's giving high output, but it is failing. And there is increased edema and
There is
everything.
also one more theory, sir.
Ah.
Usually, thiamine is a cofactor for one of the two enzymes, sir. Pyruvate dehydrogenase and alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase.
Ah. Yes.
So when thiamine is deficient, pyruvate and lactate both accumulate in the body.
Ah.
They basically decrease the PV, like peripheral vascular resistance,
Ah.
so that there is more venous return when
More load on the heart. Oh yes.
that is why they call
Actually,
like
this way they have a white pulse
white
rate.
pulse rate.
Yes. And that can explain your pulmonary arterial hypertension also.
But he did not have a white pulse rate.
Hmm.
No hypertension.
He did not have that feature of wide pulse pressure, which is very characteristic of high output failure states and hyperdynamic circulation.
The bridging, like pyruvate dehydrogenase. Basically, thiamine acts as a cofactor for both alpha ketoglutarate, which is enzyme in Krebs cycle, as well as this is a cofactor for TBP in pyruvate like PDS cofactor. So, but all this thiamine is not there. These enzymes won't be active common, like they won't carry on the Krebs cycle, right? So, this pyruvate component will be remaining in the body, as well as and pyruvate can't go to Krebs cycle as lactate, and both these components like they accumulate in the body, and they cause decrease in the peripheral vascular resistance in the body as a dilatation. So there is an increased venous return and causing more high output.
And that can explain his pulmonary hypertension. Like the left ventricle has not been that much affected, it's more of a right ventricular overload. That is what is causing the TR and everything.